Well, John Hamparsum is a farmer from Breeza in regional New South Wales. He's also a member of the Farmers for Climate Action. I spoke to him earlier as he returned to his farm with a full ute of hay. John Hamparsum, good to talk to you.
Oh, hi, Stan.
You've stopped by the side of the road there. You're just taking a load of hay back home?
Yeah, pretty desperate at home. We've got no feed for the horses, so I had to go over to town with them and buy some from a mate.
It's a big journey?
Oh, it's only about an hour away, yeah.
Okay. So tell us about your own property. You say there that you've got no feed at the moment for the horses. How tough are you doing it?
It's about as tough as I've ever seen it. We've got zero crop opportunities at the moment for the winter, and the summer will be cut right back. We'll probably only grow, we've got a little bit of irrigation water which we'll be able to use, but it'll be about 30% of what we normally grow.
Yeah, when you say the toughest you've seen it, how far back does the memory go? How long have you been on the land, or your family's been on the land?
Well, I was born in '66, but we've been on the farm on this property since '61, so our records go back to there, and it's as tough as any record we've got goes. It's sort of 65 drought was the record, and now this one's looking like it's going to pip it by quite a bit.
And when you say tough, give us a sense of what that means for you, for your business, for your livestock, how you even manage something like this.
Well, you do manage. I mean, farming is full of variables, and it's up to us to sort of adapt to those variables. The hard part is that we're starting to see more of these variables. It's becoming more of long periods of very dry, and then might get one big dump of rain, but then a long time till the next one comes through. So it's hard to adapt to that because it's not what we're used to, and we really farmers are struggling. I mean, this is really severe, and the message, I think it's starting to get through how bad it is, but it is a bad one.
Is it costing you a lot of livestock at the moment?
I'm more into cropping, to be
Right.
honest. And that's one thing that's not being mentioned is, how the cropping farmers are going, because we've got nothing in the ground, and even if we do plant, we're sort of looking at a good 6 to 8 months before there's any chance of some income. And this is coming off the back of, we're sort of this is nearly our 6th year now. We had one good year in those 6, and it's just been steadily creeping up and getting worse by amplification each year.
Is there enough support as well? I mean, you hear a lot about, the need for mental health support, and there's obviously the state government's been out there this week, and there's this new commitment, this financial commitment to try to help some people out a little bit. But is there enough support?
Yes, I think that people are trying to help. They can't make it rain, and that's the only solution to this. But I think that the government can help out. Like the people have got licences for water that they haven't pumped for 5 years because it hasn't been accessible, but they're paying for that every year. There's rates and things like that there's these fixed costs that maybe they could just relax a little bit on that, give people a bit of breathing space. There's ways to help, and I think they are trying to help in the way that they can.
John, you mentioned that you can't make it rain, and that leads us, I suppose, to the change in climate. This has been one of, if not the driest autumn that we've seen, and that's really adding to the situation that you're in. And you're about to head into another summer, and the prospect of even less rain. You're involved in this Farmers Collective for Climate Change. You've put in a submission. To what extent do you see this as being part of the impact of climate change?
Yeah. Look, I can't say that this drought is caused by climate change, but what I can say is that we're seeing record after record tumble. We had the driest winter on record last year. We've had the hottest summer the year before on record. We've had the coldest, July ever. There's just constantly, as farmers, we're seeing these records. The guy on the ABC weather tells us a new record, blah, blah, blah. And that hurts because the farmers are on the front line of this. And it really hurts to see our leaders and the people who purport to represent agricultural interests, our leaders, not mention the word climate change. It's the elephant in the room, and they are not addressing the issue. They're antagonising us by not not engaging in this discussion, and it really hurts. And then they go and talk about building another, coal-fired power station just to rub our nose in it, and it is really painful.
And who you're talking about there, I assume, are the people who have been the natural representatives of people like you on the land, and that is the National Party, and the supporters in the National Party for more coal-fired power stations. Have you lost faith, or do you feel betrayed by the Nats?
Look, I haven't lost faith. There's always hope, but I do feel betrayed. It's almost like having the commander that you look up to turn around and sort of do some friendly fire on you just for practice. It hurts. I mean, we've got a coal mine that they want to build right in the middle of the Liverpool Plains. That's our food bowl, and they want to put a mine there. The Shenhua Watermark project. And you think, why? And yet they're doing nothing about it. The people who we look for leadership, they're totally silent. And in fact, they're quite happy to take donations from that sector and promote fossil fuels, but they're doing nothing to protect us out here as farmers. So it does really hurt. It feels like we're being betrayed, and we look to them for leadership, and they're not providing it. So in that creates a vacuum where we hope there's new leaders that will come through with new ideas, with modern thinking, that will tackle this climate change. I mean, we have to lead an example, be the leaders in the world on this. We can't be the laggards, which we've been. Farmers out here, we're the ones copying it, and it's not a great feeling.
John, just looking at where you are on the electoral map, are you in Barnaby Joyce's electorate? Where do you sit?
I sit around about 20 metres from his boundary. I'm actually in the electorate of Parkes.
Okay.
So Mark Colton's.
So yeah. Either Mark Colton, a long-term, National Party MP, or Barnaby Joyce. Have you had a chance to put this directly to them?
Oh, we do all the time.
And what do they say?
They just, they don't really say much at all, and that's the problem. They listen to you and they nod their heads, but really nothing's happening, and that's the problem. There's no rubber hitting the road on this, and they come out in the next opportunity and they want to open another coal mine or another coal-fired power station just to add to the problem we've already got here.
So what's the response if you sit down with them and you say, look, we see this every year. We know that we're setting new records. We know how dry it is. We know that the climate, as you see it, is changing. When you mention those words, climate change, what do they give you back? What's the response, or do they shut it down?
It's interesting, yeah. They try to say that we owe so much money to various people, and I won't quote certain politicians on this, but the argument is that we've got to create cheaper electricity. You just don't understand the big picture, and we do understand the big picture. I can tell you, we're in it. There's just all these excuses, all these reasons why. We've got to create employment in rural areas. There's just a multitude of things that they come up with. And then they with the coal mine that they want to put in the Liverpool Plains, they say, but the science says it's okay. And, we know that all the science has been provided by the Chinese company that's putting the mine in, so it's all skewed. And there's just numerous things like that become very frustrating. Is
there a sense, in those cases, Barnaby Joyce was just returned at the recent by-election, healthy margin. They are sitting on strong margins in a lot of these seats that they feel as if they don't necessarily have to respond. There's no political pressure at the ballot box to make a difference. Do you feel as if you can't make a difference that way? We need to have strong alternatives, and that's probably our problem. We haven't had strong alternatives. So is this independence? You're looking at other people who will put their hand up? That's it, yeah. And we need to have that sort of representation. The problem is that farmers are traditionalists in many ways, and they're slow to change, but when they do change, they do it in a very strong way. And I think everyone's getting very close to that point where they're just going to lose faith, as you said earlier on. I mean, we felt betrayed, but there's a point there where we say, well, that's it. We can't support you anymore if you're not prepared to move with us. So when you say move with you, what do you want to see them do? We want them to take action about where we're heading with climate change.
We need to see renewables introduced. We need to see research into better ways that we can farm in this changing climate. We need funding towards alternative energy sources, better ways to make the water bucket bigger, rather than making it smaller. But getting smart about the way that we run this country rather than trying to make it worse.
John, far be it for me to tell you what's staring you in the face, but here's the alternative that we often hear, and that is that, the science, while is not settled on climate change, that yes, this is a bad drought, but there were bad droughts in the early 1900s. There were long droughts in the 1930s, in the 1940s, that this may be a cycle. It is not necessarily an indication that the climate itself is changing and that man is contributing to that. When you hear those arguments, how do they sit with you?
Well, look, I can't argue against the fact that this drought may be a natural cycle. What I can say is, why are we, breaking so many records in this climate and so rapidly? And when you look at the graphs on the changes in temperature, we look at the graphs on the changes in rainfall reliability, it's all happening very quickly. And it hasn't happened like this in the last 1,000 years. So, yes, we can say we're in part of a cycle. Then if that's the case, then this cycle is changing very quickly. And it all seems to coincide with when we introduce fossil fuels to the planet.
Well, and on fossil fuels, here's the other argument. We know that energy is really contested politically, the whole question of energy policy, that people want reliable energy and they want it cost effectively, that there are complaints about prices going up and that services not being supplied, people complaining about blackouts. We see them in places like South Australia and other parts of the country. That's also part of the equation, that there is a need to provide this reliable, cost-effective energy, and coal is part of that mix.
Well, this is where I think they've got it wrong, because in 2013 that argument was correct. Alternative energy now is cheaper than coal. And we really need leadership to lead us into the new era. We can't sort of sit there and say, oh, but coal is the cheapest form of energy. It's not anymore. And, we don't need baseload, we need peak power. And that sort of argument that they keep running out is getting a bit tiring, to be honest, because it's yesterday. Today, we're in a new era here where renewables is cheaper, and we just need leadership so that it happens. It creates employment and is better for our environment. I mean, look, I'm not the scientist here, but there are enough people out there telling me the information, and it all makes sense to me. I just can't see why they can't see it.
John, just finally, we've seen a lot of people over the past decade or so walk away from farms, a lot of farms being sold off and new subdivisions being put in for new housing as towns grow and so on. If you're looking at another generation of farmers, would you be saying, to your own kids, what would you be saying to someone wanting to enter into farming right now? Would you say, no, forget about it?
No, I'd encourage them to get into it. Look, it's a great lifestyle. Yes, we have hard times. We have some good times too, and it's a great place to live. Look, I wouldn't give it up, but I'd encourage young people to get into it. I think there's some huge opportunities for us, and things will change. Look, we will learn how to adapt to this, and we'll get smarter, and we'll deal with it. And look, we can't control the climate, but we can work with it. So yeah, I think there's some pretty good stuff out here.
Yeah, well, good luck to you. Good luck to your family. Hope things improve, and we hope there's some rain. John, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.